And if we ask the stars what they mean, what would they say back to us? Welcome! You want to go on a card journey today? Give me some of your time, and I'll give you some of your story. Well, let's see what the cards say. Hey there, Capricorn. Welcome to Coin Place Tarot. My name is Coin. I'm going to be your tarot card reader for today. As a set of quick announcements, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification button. That way, when uploads are made, you can see what the stars are trying to say to you. Also, if interested, individual reads are back up and open, so message me or email me directly. The link is on main, and we can set that up, okay? What are we looking at in today's week, Capricorn? I decided to switch it up a bit. And instead of doing the first and last, mainly because of timings and energetic cyclings between months and seasons, there's a lot that's been going on in my life and the world around us, as we all know. I wanted to dive straight into the fives, right? Which is a series I'm going to call As Things Change. The fives, if you looked at the Learn With Me series, which is also in the playlist, represent cards of conflict, right? Each element, water, earth, fire, and air, the tipping point of a conflict that's been building. How do we address it emotionally, tangibly, energetically, intellectually, right? These things show up within us based off our experience with the world around us, right? So with this style of reading of As Things Change, a little preamble to the read. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, but don't always be so willing to reverse. At times, if it gets difficult, understand that I, as your tarot card reader, I'm not here to purposefully misguide you or mislead you. Trust me, I got 12 signs to talk to you about, energetically about. I don't have the time to lie. I really don't. We just call it like we see it. We proverbially, but also by virtue of the practice, lay our cards out on the table. And good or bad, come rain or sunshine, we talk about it. Because at the end of the day, tarot is a conversation, but rather an energetic one, right? So follow along with me in your As Things Change read today, Capricorn. And yeah, let's see what the cards say. We're going to start over here with the Five of Cups. Show us cards we need to see, please, for the Capricorn Collective. Let's start with that Five of Cups. What do we need to see for Cap? Okay. Eight of Swords, the notion of powerlessness, but there's always something deeper than that, especially when it's tied to the Five of Cups. Queen of Swords, the knowledge that we do hold and maintain. Why does that make us feel sorrow? Oh. Well, sometimes it's answered that quickly. Three of Swords. All swords, all notions of air, particularly around what we know and what we claim that we don't. Why are we in a state of, emotional suppression or sorrow right now, Cap? That Three of Swords and that Eight of Swords are kind of in conflict with each other. The Eight of Swords is oftentimes represented by a person who is trapped in an open air cage of swords. Can they climb out? Yes. Will it be difficult getting out? And could they potentially get hurt on the way? Also, yes. So the obvious truth, hey, there's only one way I'm getting out of this. I just don't like the conclusion I've come to. Let's put that on the Five of Cups. And then we go to the Queen of Swords. I know what I know. I saw what I saw. Three of Swords. Heartbreak, sharp pain, and the notion of dejection or removal. Having that all underneath the Five of Cups, Cap, let's be honest, you saw it coming, right? I don't know what you're breaking apart from. I don't know if this is a relationship yet, or if this is an opportunity or a pathway you once set out for, but you've seen all the evidence you need to discern. It's not fun. And having all that underneath your Five of Cups, hey, we got the hardest part of the read out of the way, probably already. But it still doesn't change the fact of, dang, I thought intellectually preparing myself for this would have emotionally gotten me here, and it don't feel right. And I can understand that, Cap. We could understand intellectually how everything played out and still be in a state of shock when it happens, because the brain is not meant to outthink the emotions that the heart feels, right? I don't think that everything can be solved just purely through intellectualism and trying to theorize it, right? Oftentimes, we can utilize that to analyze or trying to understand how we came to these conclusions and these emotions, but ultimately, we should not be using the head to solve everything that matters of the heart. And I'm looking at somebody who, yeah, we knew it was coming, and simultaneously don't change the pure tidal wave of, just being floored right now. So two things can be true at once. Let's go to your Five of Pentacles. Show us cards that we need to see, please. Or the feeling of being left out and left behind. If not, a blockade and impoverishment. Show us the cards we need to see, please, for the Capricorn Collective. Ten of Wands. Okay, so the burden that we carry, not that we feel left outside. The Ten of Pentacles, everything we envision when we plan our route through this process. Nine of Wands. Interesting how that's sandwiching that Ten of Pentacles there, right? The Nine of Wands representing the efforts that we put in. If I keep on chugging along, I can make it. I just got to keep on pushing through. The Five of Pentacles, basically, I still feel left out and left behind. I thought that the efforts would culminate to this. And that Ten of Pentacles, what did I once envision this to be, right? And I think going back to your Five of Cups collective over there, Capricorn, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. We know what we aim for. We know the things that we wanted, and we know what we felt we got locked out from, yet we kept on pushing. And no matter how hard we fought for it, it felt like it didn't amount to much, because all we came to realize that we were just adding more and more weight onto us with less and less results. The Five of Pentacles, when we feel like we're getting left out, the question isn't, were we doing it wrong? I don't get that sense at all. I get the sense more that whatever we were trying to found, it may have shifted at some point and said that it was not right for us. Right, the notion of dejection, that, hey, I'm trying to plant my roots, I'm trying to do it right, I'm doing it right? Well, yeah, over here, I already seen that. Otherwise, you wouldn't have kept it as a burden for so long. You're one of the most analytical signs, and if something don't add up, throw it out the window. We got something better to do. But we kept that for so long. The question isn't if, the question is why, right? Why do we feel so locked out from something that we wanted to plant roots with? Let's go over here to the Five of Wands, because again, we saw it coming from a mile away, right? That Queen of Swords, she may be an icy cold person, but hey, she tells you the truth. Show us the Five of Wands here in Capricorn's read. Show us cards we need to see, please, upon the Five of Wands in the read today. What about engaging with a conflict is paramount for Capricorn tonight? Two of Cups. Okay. Moments between you and another. What does that look like? Ten of Cups. And the Nine of Swords. Okay. These moments are fleeting. So when we have to engage with the truth of it, I think, again, two things can be true at once. That Two of Cups, again, a card of intimacy, one of the coupling cards in the tarot deck that represents a date, essentially, an intimate moment held between you and another. Here, I'm guessing there might be some romantic vibes, but that's definitely not all the collective, right? So it's going one or two narratives, essentially spelling out the same truth. Whereas I'm saying that the Ten of Cups, that everything is synchronizing. Maybe this is supposed to work out. Maybe this is, that everything is as good as it can be. Everything that I'm feeling is what it's told me, that all that glitters can be gold. We then go to that Nine of Swords, anxieties and what ifs. We have to engage in that conflict, right? What happens if these are, in fact, just fleeting moments? And it doesn't mean that they weren't inauthentic or weren't real, but our unwillingness to look at it in the first place is probably how we got that Queen of Swords and the Swords Collective over here underneath our Five of Cups cap. The anxiety we felt about, yeah, I feel good, but is this right for me? And us suppressing that feeling, or us saying, I don't like this, I don't know what to do with this or about this. Well, all the swords over here, that we know what we felt afterwards. When we push past the anxiety, when we push past all the fears, and we start engaging it full on, two things can be true at once. We can feel that, yes, these were great feelings to have, these were great experiences to have, and simultaneously, it doesn't change the conclusion that I came to, that this ain't gonna work. There's a stark distinguishing pattern between you and another. For a good collective, part of the collective, it could be you and another person, you and an intimate partner. But at the end of the day, it still spells out that no, there could be good times and bad times. However, I know this ain't right for me. And that's the hard truth that we had to sit with. So when we're starting to engage in that conflict, when we start to be honest about it, what else starts to happen, right? Next to the Five of Swords, shows the cards that we need to see, please, upon the Five of Swords or cap in their read. As things change, what about the internal struggles and the internal monologue? Show us the cards that we need to see, please, upon the Five of Swords in this read today. Nice. However, it didn't hit the table, so I can't take it. Show us the cards that we need to see, please, upon that Five of Swords and Caps read today. Six of Pentacles. Okay. The everyday little investments, what do they amount to? The Four of Cups. We became more and more dissatisfied the more and more we kept on putting those tangible things into our piggy bank. How so? King of Pentacles, because at the end of the day, we know what a better investment was. We just weren't ready to let it go yet. Yeah. Cap, what's going on here? So like I was saying earlier, underneath your Five of Wands, now it's popping up again in your Five of Swords. Your Five of Wands, when we engage in the conflict of, yeah, this feels good, but is this ultimately what's right for me and my trajectory? You already came to that conclusion. The answer was no. Going over here, again, well, I'm going to keep on, we're going to try it again. You know, that Six of Pentacles, we're going to do our, daily efforts every day, the maintenance labor or the small buildups to make sure that it works out. But the more things I put into it, the more efforts, all the things I try to do to make it tangible, the more disappointed I became, the Four of Cups coming out. And ultimately, it spelled out a bigger and different story of that King of Pentacles. No matter how many coins I put in here, I know what a better investment is, and it's taking all those pentacles away. Right? It's taking all that investment away and doing something different for me. It doesn't feel good because it ultimately spells out a separation pattern between you and whatever oppositional entity this is. But simultaneously, you know what's better for you. And this ain't it. Underneath it all, the Fool, the power of a new beginning. I don't know if it's too bright for the camera to see. The Fool, the power of a new beginning. We knew eventually that this was going to happen, and the moment we tangibly accept that is the moment that new things start to happen, right? Are we there yet? No. But are we getting there? Hey, we were kind of thrust into it by this point. So, yeah. The story of all this conflict is that something that you knew wasn't right for you, we kind of held on to it for our own reasons. I'm not trying to call you desperate or anything, Cap. We held on to it for a good justification. Now, what does it mean to properly and equitably let go? Let's see a card underneath all the fives. Show us the cards that we need to see, please, for each five. Dang. Okay, Three of Cups. The notion of reunion or being around others. Why is that underneath? Oh, okay. Well, that's definitely two different stories. Still the same process, so let's call it. For the Capricorn tour, saying that you're realizing that the person that you're with is not who you're supposed to be with. You know who you are because you would have felt it. If it hit, it hit. If it didn't, it didn't. That Three of Cups is telling you because somebody else has shown themselves to be a much better suitor for you. That Three of Cups, there's more than one person you're sharing your cup with. That doesn't mean that you're cheating. That means that you understand that this relationship that you're currently in is not the one that you should be in. For others, that Three of Cups is the reunion or being in a different environment that allows you to put things into perspective, right? Two different narratives, still coming to the same conclusion. Next, underneath the Five of Pentacles, we have the Eight of Pentacles. Mastery. And this is where we're hitting with the other part of the collective, but it still interplays with those who are intimately involved with another. The Eight of Pentacles underneath that Five of Pentacles and that Ten of Pentacles, hey, I invested so much into this path, into my career, into this project. I can't let it go. I just, no. I think you're good at what you do, but you're not solely defined by your labor. What are we doing here? Right? Yes, we feel that we can't let it go because it was such an investment, and we're taking it as almost like an ego shot of saying that me walking away from this project is almost like a mark of my work effort or the things I want to put out there, rather than being, no, I'm well equipped enough to understand when something is not right for me anymore. Right? Flip your perspective. Flip the perspective. To the Five of Wands, the Star, the card of Aquarius. The external conflict that we want to engage with is that we're being guided in a different pathway, right? The Star should never be so anxiety inducing that it's causing fear and panic, right? The Nine of Swords and the Star kind of clash in that way because, yes, could it invoke some fears of the things we want to challenge and things we want to fight against? Absolutely, but that shouldn't be the ultimate conclusion that we come to, right? I should not have a Five of Wands that is fighting against my Star. That should never happen. It is a guiding force. It is not a permanent fixture. So what's going on that's making us realize, yeah, this may be what it feels like, but this is not the right pathway. And underneath the Five of Swords, Nine of Wands, it all comes down to effort. What are we putting in as we're doing it like in emotional math, right? What are we putting in and what are we getting out? Underneath all of that, the Two of Pentacles, making things balanced out. Finally, it does come into balance in view. Next to that Fool, hey, it's going to balance out. We're going to make it work. It just has to do with accepting that new beginning the way that it should be. Last, as we move towards resolution, for us to find the major arcana from across the table, we only see one, and that is a Star. Oh, nice. However, it didn't hit the table. So as cards we can see, please, we first look at the Star and then move towards resolution. What defines the Star, the card of Aquarius, the things that we hope for, the light that's guiding us here and now? That's a break. What are the cards we need Capricorn to see, please, upon the Star? Okay, and that definitely answered it. Six of Cups. This represents soul bond energy, or the notion of nostalgia and the promise of the self. Why is that important, Cap? For those of you who are come to the conclusion that you and somebody else got to break up, the reason why you haven't is because, yeah, they're a good person, but that doesn't mean they're good for you, right? We cannot make somebody fit into something that they're not meant to be, right? And just because we're compatible does not mean that we're just perfectly right for each other, right? All these contradictions can be true at once. It doesn't have to be a breakup, just like tragic from the movies. It really doesn't. Here, hey, I gotta admit that, yeah, we bond well, but simultaneously, we have to call a spade a spade. We're probably not good for each other at the end of the day. And that doesn't make you a bad person, doesn't make me a bad person. It just makes us people. So for those of you who are breaking up, there's your answer. You're conflating the notion of good people don't do this to each other rather than good people know when it's time to let each other go and experience life in different directions. That's the first. For the other part of the collective, the promise of the self, the nostalgia of what we once had or what could have been. We just keep on holding on and it's not moving, but it's not moving stubbornly because it's not moving in the right direction. Resolution, the Nine of Pentacles. When we actively invest and take the long road, the more fortuitous road, let's say, what then comes of it? How do we make that investment properly and actively? Also, the Nine of Wands. All depends on what we want to do with this cap. What efforts do we want to put in to delude ourselves more or to deal with the reality that maybe it's time to let go? Underneath it all, the Ace of Pentacles, a new opportunity awaits. And once it does become clear, it starts to juggle and it balances out. That one becomes a two because we were brave enough to start anew. What do we see in your read today, Cap? You have come to a sharp conclusion, whether that be in an intimate partnership or a career-based path, that something ain't right for you and it's time to split. The biggest challenge that we're having right now is what does this say about me versus what is actually going on here. You've done all the right things. I can definitely say that. You did put forth your best foot, your best effort, and simultaneously things can still fall apart because the conclusions that we come to weren't the nicest ones, but they were the most truthful ones that we've had in a while, which is for the Capricorn collective that is breaking apart from somebody or breaking apart from a relationship. Hey, we need to sit down and talk, not because there isn't love there isn't appreciation there. I think you're an awesome person. However, we probably aren't the best match for each other. And that's why it's better to let go. That's what we do, quote unquote, good people do. We try to let go, to let each other explore life as it should be. I think you're a great person, but that doesn't mean that it's great for me or that this is right for me. And for the others, just because I feel good in some of the work that I've done, I also have enough mastery to know when to call it quits. This doesn't feel good, doesn't feel right, and that's not how it should be. The self-sabotage is that, hey, we don't like the conclusions that we come to because it spells that all of our efforts should be geared in different and more fortuitous directions. What do we want to defend? Our desire to keep something past its expiration date or our desire to find something new and a better fit for us? It all depends. What are we investing into, Cap? What is the investment here? That's all I see in your read today, Capricorn. I hope this conversation helped. And yeah, is it going to be the nicest conversation? No. But if there's any sign that's able to do that, it is you, because when it comes to the raw decision-making power, you know what your answer is. How are we going to word it? That's where it's at this point. I'll see you around, okay? Take care.